Just bringing the temperature up in the mash tun. Getting slightly conflicting readings from the two pH meters. Got the grains ready. I think it's about time to chuck them in. Oh, that was good. Two things happened. First thing that happened was I needed to up the temperature a little bit. First thing was the spray ball got blocked. So I just been and unblocked it, which wasn't too difficult, just run it underwater. And we're almost bang on 67. This needs to be 67 for an hour. So we're not doing too bad. We've overshot by ½ a degree. And we're 9 minutes in. So that's all right. I'm going to put the lid on and leave it. It's on auto. So as soon as this drops, it will send it through the Herms. Boom, 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 boom. Lovely. Right. Lid on. And wait. This being the most accurate pH meter is showing a mash pH of 5.3, and it's temperature compensated. I've cooled it down, but it's temperature compensated, so that is about perfect. Going nicely. This is what's called the vol-off, and what we're doing is taking from underneath the mesh. The grain forms a kind of natural filter, comes down into the pump, out of the pump, through the Herms, oops, and into the sight glass. And as you can see, that is now becoming beautifully clear, which is what we want. In a couple of minutes, what I'll do is start pumping clean hot water through there, and that cleans out the Herms, and that will then change from this lovely malty colour to clear. I've now changed the direction of flow, so coming out of the mash tun, instead of going into the Herms and coming back in, it will now come out and into the boil kettle. So we're ready to go, but first I'm going to flush out the Herms with hot water. So that's open. We need to open that, and we need to open that, and then turn that on, and that should start to run clear. How about that? And the other thing we got to do, we're pumping this now into the boil kettle, but I need to take a sample of that to see what our efficiency is like. And the way we do that is we get some iodine and we drip a couple of little drips of iodine in here, and see if it turns black. I can't see any black there, which is a good thing. Trademark for someone or other. Right, good. So that works. We have converted to sugars and ting the starches, or you know what I mean, that sort of thing. So what's happening now? I'm heating this up because that will be used as cleaning. We're gently taking heat from here, water from here, sparging clean water on top of the grain bed. It's then coming out and going into the boil kettle. When it's up to this level, I shall stop, and then we will start the boil. And this really is flushing the last bits of sugars out of the grain bed. Okay, that is now nearly there. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn this off, close all of these pumps off. This will now pull the very last bit out of there. So I'll turn that pump off and that off and that off, and now we have got a boil kettle ready to start a boil. Look at that. That is look, almost perfect. Yes. So now we start the boil. Ooh. Now on the control here I've got set for 1 and 2 elements because there's 2 elements in there. To create the start of the boil, we're already at 66 degrees. I've got both of the elements on. Once I reach a rolling boil, I can drop it down to 1 element and then drop the amount of power that goes to the element just to maintain a nice rolling boil. And over here, 97, let it get up to 98.5 and see where we go. But that is definitely coming to the boil. Perfect, we have a boil. So now we set the timer. Look at that, how high tech. And we drop this down to 1 element, which should give us a nice rolling boil and save us a bit of electricity. That's nice. So now we keep an eye on this for the next 45 minutes. This recipe that I'm using, it's a smash single malt and single hop. It's from Dark Farm, it's the Centennial, and there's no early hop additions in this one. It is purely later hop additions after you've chucked the protofloc in. While we're waiting for the boil, we can start dismantling the mash tun, and I'm quite pleased, I have to say, with the performance of this little spray ball in terms of a sparge. It was great, and I didn't attach it with PTFE, so it will be quite easy to unscrew it. I can't really show you one hand, but as you can see, there you go, it will unscrew quite easily for cleaning. Next is we need to clear all that out, yummy, into a bucket for the ducks, because the ducks love that sort of stuff on the canal. How's that doing? Oh, lovely. Right, we've got ourselves a brew going. That's a steady 98.6 on 1. It will creep up ever so slowly, gently. Right, that's good, I'm happy. Now 21 minutes into boil, we've got a nice steady 99.5. And it smells amazing. And what have we lost so far? About 1 litre, which is about what I was expecting. I want this to come down to about 21, 22. So, yes, should be about spot on. That smell is amazing. It's coming up to that time. At 15 minutes, we throw in half a protofloc, a tablet. Oh, I'm going to do it now because I don't want to carry on just talking for 20 seconds. It won't make a right lot of difference. So look at that, isn't that beautiful? In it goes. That's our protofloc. And then in 5 minutes we chuck in 50 grams of Centennial hops. Then 5 minutes later 30 grams, and then when we turn the boiler off, that's called flame out, we chuck in another 30 grams of Centennial. This is so exciting, isn't it, boys and girls? 10-minute edition. Here we go. We have 50 of Centennial. I've steamed up again. Back soon. 5-minute edition. I've opened the shutter. 5 minutes. Ooh. 5 minutes away from the end. How are we doing on here? Oh, we're nearly down to perfect. I wanted about 20 between 21 and 23. Looks like we're going to be down to 21. That is absolutely blindingly perfect. Whoops, steamed up again. Back soon. Whoa! We're there. Can turn that off. Oh, the smell is incredible. And last additions. There we are. That is the last 30 gram of our Centennial. So we had 50 at 10 minutes, 30 at 5, and now another 30 at what we're calling flame out. So that there now is ready. Going to give that a little bit of a stir. Oh God, that smells amazing. I'm sorry you couldn't see any of that, could you? We have hose coming in from outside, goes into plate chiller, comes out of the plate chiller, and then goes back out into the car park. Eventually I'll put it into a water butt, but not just yet. Coming out of the boil kettle into this Y strainer. I've just been, even though it's boiling-ish temperature, going to go through it. I've make sure it's on, otherwise we will have lots of watt over the floor. Good. Out of the Y strainer into pump, out of pump, comes up into another assembly with another Y strainer, into the plate chiller, out of the plate chiller into the fermenter. The reason I've got 3 filters, because there's one in the bottom there, is that plate chiller was expensive. Can't afford to bung that all up. I'm going to need to flush it properly afterwards anyway. Now that temperature there relates to this PT100 temperature probe in the output as it goes into the fermenter. Now that is the important temperature. I'm not bothered about what temperature it is going in, although we know it's still about 91.3 in the boil kettle. So to take it from 91.3 down to pitching temperature, through that the physics, I've got a little bit of a drip from this connector here, don't worry. The physics of that, let's move that out of the way, are quite amazing. So first of all, what we do is we turn on making sure obviously that the connector is properly connected. We turn on the water. Good, so we now have water coming in, going through the plate chiller and then out into the car park. I'll show you. So that's it there, water coming out. And what we're going to do now is open up this valve, and then just for a second I'm going to pause this. That's better. The oven was beeping, telling me my bread's done. So, okay. That needs to be attached properly, thank you. That's attached properly. We can open that. Now, this is the magic. This is where the magic starts. It's 89, say 90 degrees inside the boil kettle. And at the moment, this is measuring nothing because there's nothing really coming out of here. So when I turn that pump on, we should get, that's right, that's open, that's open, that's open. Oh, we have the very first dribblings and the temperature coming out of the water chiller there, look. 11.5. So from 87 down to 11 degrees. Now that, and it's not flowing massively properly fast at the moment because there's still a little bit of air in there, but that's good. So we'll come back when that's finished and when I've cleared the rest of the air out of that system. We have beer. Well, we don't. We have wat. That's our wat. Now the most important thing now is to get lid on, because we don't want anything getting into there. And what I'm going to do next is take that and put it in the fermentation fridge. Oh, good, we're there. Then we'll check the temperature and then we'll chuck the yeast in. Oh, gravity readings. So this was our pre-boil gravity reading of about 104.2-ish. I'm going to say 104.2. We'll call that 104.2, shall we? Fermentation fridge. I've just taken a hydrometer reading, which I'll come to in a minute, and I've pitched the yeast and clamped it on the lid. I've set the fridge for 18 degrees. I was conditioning some beer in here, so I've just taken that out. So I'll bring that up to 18 degrees and we will then have a constant fermentation temperature. Star san, everything good. This has just been sat in Star san anyway. I'm not going to use a blow off tube on this one because there's not a huge amount in there and I'm not expecting a massive krausen, so that then just slots into there only gently. It doesn't need to be much. That's full of Star san. Then I think if we start the clock running, that's probably going to be 14 days in there at a nice 18 degrees, and then we'll see where we go. Wasn't that fun, boys and girls? If you're still awake or haven't lost the will to live, we have completed the first test brew on the Boathouse Brewery Pilot Kit. Fantastic. Ooh, nearly forgot. Final gravity, post-boil gravity, I've called this down, is probably sitting around 52, 1.052. Oh, right, 14 days it is then. You really think that's it? We've got to do all this cleaning yet. I need to find out how much is in the bottom there, because that's kind of like waste. Not very happy with the tap on here. It needs to be pulling more out. All of this needs shoveling out. But more importantly, what we're interested in is these. How much did these Y filters pull out before it all went into? Oh, lots. Much more than I was expecting. So that's the large Y filter, and then this is the little one. Wow, look. I'm pleased with that. So what we do now is we take everything and we give it all a good wash. We back flush the plate chiller, we clean all this out, and then I've got a CIP system, sort of clean in place system, but it's not. What I'm going to do is take all these, turn them upside down over the pump and clean everything out, and then all this goes outside and just gets hosed down because it's all covered in sticky bits of malt. Love it. Right, that then is now the end. That's the boiler, HLT, and finally the mash tun. The reason I'm doing that last is there's probably quite a lot of sticky gunk in there, so it's a little bit like when you was a kid. you know, the children would have a bath first, then your mum, and then your dad would have the dirtiest water. I don't think anybody will understand that when I say that now, but it's the way it used to work.